it's very odd to spend a lot of time moving countries and trying to like it almost feels like I had 100 almost record deals, and my band back in the day we had a song in the charts and we played some festivals. I opened for like Coldplay and a few like big kind of situations, and you hit these peaks that you're just kind of like, fuck, I'm going to spend so much time trying to match this feeling of just like success or whatever the word is, you know, just kind of, I don't know, celebratory euphoria of sorts. I don't know. So that's what it is. It's really fun to do. Like we do Oktoberfests in both beer halls now. The Oktoberfest in both. Specifically, I was going to say the Farmhouse, but no, Town was great too. Absolute nuts.
Welcome back to the Brew That Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, joined today by Dave Argust from Beer Mill Westchester, previous guest, but hosting today. Welcome.
Yeah, what's happening? I'm happy to be back and here with a good friend, James.
Hi, Dave.
Nice, and welcome, James Mullally, from the owner of Bierhaul Townhouse, and now Beer and Loathing.
Now Beer and Loathing, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the
beer family.
Fastest growing, I guess, restaurateurs in your area. It seems like you came up out of nowhere, but you know, obviously, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
Not in fact come out of nowhere.
In my mind, it took a while.
Yes.
I'll put it that way. But Bierhaul 1, Bierhaul the OG, which is officially now Bierhual Farmhouse. Almost 3 years old. I just turned 43. It took some time. Born and raised in Ireland, moved to the States almost 20 years ago, actually, which is crazy to say, but landed in New York. I was touring with a band. Got kind of signed by a label of sorts. So same kind of field, creative, you know, different, non-9-to-5 desk oriented, shall we say.
Yeah.
But it's all creative field stuff, you know, whether it's beer or music, whatever. Met my lovely wife, who's from Westchester, Pennsylvania. At some point, I impregnated her, and we had to make some life decisions. And we moved back to her hometown, which is a great little town. It was one of those things where, as I say now that we're a bit older and we're a bit wiser and a lot more honest with each other, definitely dragged me a little bit from New York. You know what I mean? New York is one of those places. It's amazing. And we all have a challenge, especially us silly males, where you just have to beat New York. In my mind, it was like, I want to dominate New York, whatever. There's no such thing, you know. So I was in restaurants there, met a few Irish fellas and helped them open up a few places. As soon as we decided to leave, when my oldest was born, I started to just bounce around and do like a GM for hire kind of thing, learn some stuff. I opened a hotel in Times Square, believe it or not. Opened a bunch of bars. Just trying to learn, and eventually hopefully do my own thing, and moved to Westchester and open up a place there with some people, and that was like the last time I do it for someone else or for other people. Well, you know, I want to do it for myself.
Was that always the point? You always wanted to have your own place?
I did, I really did, and I couldn't even describe as to why, if you ask me now, but like it's not for control, it's not for I don't know. Well, I don't know what it was.
Well, you said before you were like a creative, you know, like an artist, you know, like
yeah.
There's somebody standing in your way of like you trying to create something.
I think that was it. Yeah. Well, the way I put it nicely at the end of the last thing I did with other people, I was like, I would never have anyone want to work with me again. As far as like, I get very kind of hell bent on, you know, you can throw around the word vision or whatever. That's kind of a a pompous thing to say, but like, I do know what I want, and I have huge interest in what people want. This is where we're all going to tie in. We all get along because of this reason. We're spreading the joy. It's like Irish bars are not just what everyone thinks it is, where everyone's just getting hammered and fucking or fighting. You know what I mean? That does happen, don't get me wrong. But Irish bars were always teeny tiny little pubs. Like you'd find a little house and there's a shop on one side, there's a bar on the other side. It's all community-based, teeny tiny family businesses. And that's where, you know, I grew up in hanging out in bars. You know, we couldn't afford to go out to bars every night because we were poor Irish people. And it's a big, giant country, middle-class folks. But it's a very community-based hang, you know what I mean? It's so that's kind of what makes me comfortable in them. And that's the kind of the thing I want to spread. That's why I like the idea of... Bierhaul to me is a community-based, familial, early in the day, just like, it's a good hang spot. This is why lagers come into play, because it's an all-day beverage.
Yeah.
As my father says, we don't We don't stick 3 olives in a bucket of vodka and call it a drink. It's an all-day thing, you know. It's fun, and there is creativity, especially whatever you want to say about beer came from other places in the world. Let's be honest, but America honed in and has kind of really nailed it, you know.
We kind of take everything, maybe pick the pieces that we want of each of the beer cultures, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't mean that you might think of it in a bad way. I think it's amazing because you're taking what has come before and then just rolling with it. You know what I mean? It's like the Europeans are great, but they're stuck in their ways. You know what I mean? I personally couldn't settle in Europe for that reason. I'm like, there's more. There's more things to do.
Yeah. Is that kind of like beer? I mean, you said it's like an Irish pub, but it's like beer hall. Like I think of like a German beer hall. So you kind of
I call it a European lager house, and that's what I think it is. Very Germanesque because of the name, and obviously lagers and play into that. But it's very lager centric, but a lot as many American lager pilsners as anything else. Yeah. Obviously, we respect the hops, and every other style makes its way in as well. But we sell a lot of everything, which is really cool. It's fun.
What was like some big inspiration for you to open Bierhaul? Like, it definitely has a lot of character inside, and it's really cool. It's different. I don't think many places in this area are doing stuff like that right now, especially with craft beer. Right now, there's only a handful of craft beer bars left, and like you're crushing it right now. So what's going on?
Yeah, what's his name? Ken from Human Robot. He was like doing the opposite of what you're doing. Like he was like beer halls are dead. Like I need to open up an actual brewery. Yeah. But your bar feels like a brewery, like a community based thing where it was opposite of that.
I mean, it's nice to hear that. Thank you very much. I don't know. It's funny. I think there's a lot of things happening at the same time. I don't think necessarily I saw it coming as far. Not that beer has declined. I just think that the desire for it in some ways. People obviously IPAs specifically. People jumped on that trend, and then 5 years later they have a belly full of yeast and it's a bit bigger than it used to be. And it's kind of like you have to kind of temper your expectations to what you're drinking. And people blamed the beer, but they don't realize that you can just like I love an IPA. This is one of our house beers. Just not all the time. You just you know what I mean. That's why lagers are great.
You can't eat dessert all the time.
No, exactly. Desserts will catch up with you. I just think it's the best. There was a big splash of beer in the country. It went like wildfire, let's be honest. And now the quality has officially risen. Whether it's your concept, your ability to judge the quality, or all of ours. I mean, the cream has risen. Where the great ones are the great ones, and the great ones should be a bit more expensive because they're a smaller batch, they're smaller breweries. It's funny now that I'll buy $300 halves of a Pilsner or a lager from, I don't know, Russian River or something like that. And I absolutely crush them and nobody will touch them because of the price. But like you charge more because of it. You don't charge as much as you should, but like they should be charging more for Pilsners because it takes longer, you know that.
Tank time's like a real thing. Like, how fast you turn over inventory, that's every business has to deal with that. It's doubling that for
little car parks for pleasure,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like people are, and we could talk about economy, whatever. There's swings in that. People are way more price conscious and veering away from good beer. There's a few pretenders in the mix who jumped on the train. Let's be honest, and then there's other people who just can't afford to do it, which is a different story. But I just think it's the opposite. There's way more out there. There's people that should be highlighted that may not have the business acumen to highlight themselves. Or I will never turn away from good beer because it's just. There's so much, and it's just a constant conversation, and it's just endless exploration joy for me.
Yeah, I mean, how many? You have 24 taps at.
Both of them have 22 in Townhouse, 24 in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's mostly lagers.
I do kind of at least 10 Pilsner lagers. In both is the kind of the aim. Sometimes it dips a little bit low, depending.
And what's kind of the split between do you have import lagers or is it mostly American stuff?
It depends on. It's all based on kind of availability, but it's I would say it's probably 70% American, but but a mix, definitely a mix.
Have you always been beer heavy? Like even before you owned your own places, like when you were like kind of managing, the alcohol kind of side of things, was it always beer heavy or were you having cocktails also?
I went through it. So I opened that hotel in New York with a lady named Julie Reiner who owns Clover Club and a bunch of other really cool cocktail bars. And she was on Netflix. She does a cocktail show on Netflix and stuff. So once I met her, that was I kind of I was always interested in cocktails, but I never really had the education that I got from her. So that I kind of caught up in that regard. But a bit of everything. Honestly, it's the same conversation. Leaving New York, I wanted to make sure to learn all the facets and bring him at that point bring a New York knowledge, experience, whatever you want to say, to Westchester. You know, that was exciting. You know, because say what you want about Westchester, it's a cool mainline town, but it's a little bit behind the times as far as compared to New York. Nowadays, everyone's a cocktail bar, so that day has passed for a while. That's when I opened Beer and Loathing. I was like, I want to do things that invigorate me, but also respect what's been done before, and then do something different. So that's all tiki cocktails.
I want to get into Beer and Loathing. Like, you are the fastest moving person in the world right now. Like, the Townhouse opened, and that was like, what, 2 years after Farmhouse opened. You're like, this is too fast. And then 6 months later, you turn around and open up Beer and Loathing.
It's wild, and I don't know. I was waiting in the wings a long time to find the right opportunity, and once that came along, and that begetted another. I don't know. What's the word? It is now. That allowed another opportunity to come along, and then Beer and Loathing. I had a little mini list of ideas I wanted to do. I didn't think they would come up. Like 3 of them in 3 years is pretty insane. 2.5 years, whatever it was. But.
And so Beer and Loathing is an arcade bar.
Yeah.
That's how you describe it?
Yeah.
Was always the plan to do an arcade bar? And also, how long were you sitting on the name Beer and Loathing?
I'd say I had Bierhaul name about 10 years before I used it. And Beer and Loathing probably about 7 or 8.
I was going to say, I feel like in conversations we've had in the past, I think I've heard that Beer and Loathing.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I heard that one a few years ago, and I'm like, and it eventually happened, so that's pretty awesome. It's
pretty funny. Again, it's simple things. You want to. I tell this to. It's funny. I tell this story to employees at this point, or people I meet along the way, or anyone that's interested to talk. It's not even talk business. You're talking humanity. You're talking progress. You're just talking for the sake of talking. You want to talk about fun, positive things.
Yeah.
Back in the day in New York, I met the guy who owns the meatball shop. So the meatball shop in New York City, and it was one of those things where I'm trying to remember. It's close to Luke's Lobsters, Lower East Side somewhere, and he just opened another one on the Upper West Side. But I had gone in a meatball shop. Meatballs are going to be badass, right? So you go in, you have a meatball. And I remember him, just as I was turning the bar that I was managing at the time into a craft bar, that was all really happening, and I was super excited about it. And I talked, and I looked at his 8 taps, and it was just like Dogfish. It was like Palo Santo, and it was a bunch of really, I think he had Festina Pesh, and a bunch of cool styles, let alone cool breweries, even though Dogfish had, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember driving from New York and realizing that Victory was outside of Westchester, and going, holy fuck! Like, you didn't realize at the time where things were, and at that point, Dogfish was a big, big move in New York City. But point being, I was like, dude, it's a meatball shop. Why do you have this insane beer? He goes, I love good beer.
Yeah.
And hey, guess what? It's a meatball shop. Get them in with one thing, do it well, and then dazzle them with everything else. So that's why I like the name Bierhaul. Beer is obviously going to be badass. Will progressively get even better, I hope, and I will make sure. And then the cocktail list is insane. The food is really good. The people are beyond cool. The only reason I could do other things is because of the people. Like it's the point I'm trying to make is it's
like all encompassing. It's not just one thing.
There's opportunity in everything. You don't just kind of rest on your laurels. It's fun. It's fun to do all the things. And the biggest thing about beer as well, it's like, you don't reinvent the wheel. Like, beer has been around forever. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have pyramids if it wasn't for beer. Well, it was me, but whatever. Why reinvent the wheel? Why try and change what has been proven? And I mean, nostalgia just wins, I guess. But Beer and Loathing is another example. Arcades. Who doesn't love an arcade? Like the first thing I was like to the guys I rent the games from, Street Fighter 2 and older. That's what I want. Street Fighter 2 was the game that I played with my father and my uncle's chip shop, and that was just like one of my prime childhood memories. And I'm like, how cool would that be? That would be cool.
How much do you want to talk about the business of this? Because arcade bars intrigue me because you're taking this unused empty bar space and just turning it into money you're making per square foot. Is that something that is that a big money maker for you? Just the arcades, or are they just there to kind of keep you entertained?
No, they make a bit of money, but it's more the attraction. It's more kind of the vibe than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, they take up physical space. Everyone is kind of like a person, It's just fun. I mean, it's the restaurants have changed so much that it's not like I hate reservations. I never do reservations, and no beer halls have reservations.
Yeah.
So it should be casual. It should be a pub. It should be like the sit down fancy restaurant is gone the way of the dodo. Really, it should be just no brainer, fun, easy. You make sure it's clean. You make sure the people are nice. You make sure the food is good. Everything, the beer is cold. The games are working, which is my newest struggle. So I'm trying to keep games working, but that's
I drove some guy. He was a manager at Barcade the other day.
Right.
And said basically that like he didn't realize when he took this job, like half of his job is just like
fixing games.
Fixing games and emptying quarters.
And emptying quarters, yeah. They started calling me Jimmy Quarters. All I do quarters. It's funny. I have two like head bartenders, like bar manager types. Super nice fellas. Shout out to Christian and Matt. And half the thing is just like, hey, this is just what you do. You do a circle around. People just jam them with quarters. I think the quarters thing is fun because that builds into nostalgia. But half their time is checking the games and
What's I mean, were you the one that like curated what games were there? Or, like how did you like break down?
Pretty much, I had a list of the things I really wanted, and then a super nice company that I'm two guys I'm renting the games from. They have a place called Fun Dungeon in Phoenixville. Okay. And then there's another company called Mayhem Arcades from Strasbourg. One of the two. So I just gave them a list, and the promise is that we're constantly going to rotate. The big list will be rotated through eventually.
Oh, so you get new games coming through.
Every 2 months we swap out like half the games, kind of a thing. I have like the core ones I kind of want there all the time, which I think are no brainer. But
are there some games that are like way more popular than you thought?
Oh yeah, 1/3 of them are responsible for 3/4 of the.
Is that the pinball machines?
Pinball machines, The Simpsons, Turtles, Asteroids, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong Jr., all that stuff. Street Fighter 2, Double Dragon, a bunch of really cool stuff.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You forget how hard those games are. Games kick your ass. But.
Yeah, I mean, there's games, they're like kind of timeless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun.
Is it, and that's family friendly?
We do over 21 after 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's the thing. So best of both worlds. So.
Is that all of your locations or just?
Just the about the arcade. Yeah. Just Beer and Loathing. Cool. Yeah.
And then the Barcade, big focus on tiki cocktails. Yeah. What was the inspiration for that?
Again, the nostalgia of it all. Not that you were having tiki drinks with your kids, but to each his own. But it's just something that always interests me. It's just super fun. I do love cocktail bars. Anything that's a good experience. Like you can drink. Pacificos in Costa Rica, and it's good. You know what I mean? It's like Imperial, in Costa Rica. But anything in its right form is good. So if you go to a good cocktail bar, I love a tiki bar, and it's just like
it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun, and it's just different. And people know what tiki drinks are, but I think it's something that's kind of gone wayside as far as drinks, and it's fun. It's something I always enjoyed. There's a really cool guy who's one of the main bartenders in Bierhaul. His name is Michael Christensen. We bonded over that, and we kind of geeked out over it. So he had me do that, and by helping me, I mean he did it most of it. I empowered him to live his dream. He's a great dude. Nice. Again, it's all about that kind of fun stuff that we can. It was super fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you also do, I think, a great job of like having events at your tap rooms, like the what is it, the drag karaoke?
Yeah, we do drag karaoke every Tuesday night in the Townhouse. There's a bunch of stable nights. I mean, there's a different event every night of the week in both places, really, and whether it's kind of food or drink oriented or event wise or
Is the farmhouse definitely way heavier on the weekends? I feel like that's more like a weekend warrior
in the summer. That's pretty busy all the time at this point. It's kind of in the neck of the woods. There's not a whole lot going on out there.
And that place is pretty massive. Were you planning on opening something like that to start, or would it just the opportunity arose and you guys jumped on it?
I genuinely, it's funny because if you look at Untapped, it says ski lodge in the descriptors, which is basically, I describe Bierhaul as some kind of a ski lodge type place.
It feels like it with the high ceilings and everything.
Yeah.
High ceilings, fireplace.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And we didn't build, honestly, vibes. We didn't build out, we built out all the outside and all that stuff.
The inside was already there?
Pretty much. Wow. Some cosmetic stuff, and we did a lot of non-sexy behind the scenes stuff, but good old expensive plumbing. But a lot of it existed. That was an actual. That there has been alcohol produced there since the late 1700s, which is crazy.
What for what? Is it beer, wine?
I mean, it was just whiskey back in the day. It was just full on, bootstrap stuff, A hugely historical area in general when it comes to the Brandywine Valley and all of the Valley of the Brandywine and all that stuff. They call it Shintown because it's at the bottom of a hill. So when Lafayette got stabbed at the top of that hill, I'm picturing Bierhaul Farmhouse here. But all the soldiers came back down on their shins. And they literally refer to it as Shintown.
Wow.
Which was hugely interesting. But
so you have, I read somewhere that you have a motel that's attached to that property?
We have rooms upstairs that we rent out with Airbnb.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So for events, so it's all rentable for events. And
do you guys have weddings there?
Starting to do that kind of stuff. We're building out as much has been done. There's lots to do, obviously. Going to build out the outside a bit and make it a bit more event oriented. And we're trying to do it bit by bit. Bit of an old school philosophy, but grow and build and put it all back into the pot and just keep moving with it. But lots of plans for expansion there.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's huge.
You guys have a lot of space there to kind of.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, that place in the summer is just insane.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Overflowing. So the beer list that you guys have, one of the more impressive tap lists, probably all of southeastern PA. Like you are all over the place. Is that you were making those connections the last kind of 10 years in the area, or like how does it work getting because you have outside Hill Farmstead How does it go about getting a connection like that? Is that something that you have to try to get? It's funny. It happened organically in some ways. One thing me and Dave always hype on, we've been friends for 7 or 8 years at this point. Mm-hmm. It's a mix of all. So I had connections from New York. As soon as I moved here, and I was like, we're gonna, we bought my wife's grandparents' house. We're gonna nestle it, and we're gonna do it. Yeah.
I got a bit aggressive in my connections, So honestly, the biggest thing is just respect what it is, charge properly for it, keep it cold, and don't be a dick. It's not that hard, I don't think. But especially when people turned away from the craft stuff, bit by bit, people more breweries that really mattered, I suppose, kind of just allocated us everything, So I always have and always will do all the beer ordering. That's just that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Dave knows I enjoy ordering a decent amount of
beer. Yeah, I was gonna say it's literally my favorite part too. With my job, it's I look forward to it every single week. What do we got coming in next? Yeah. But something that I've really loved that I've been seeing you do is a lot of these collabs are bar only stuff. We're drinking right now the Bierhaul Bier.
Yeah, this is very cool. It's good.
What made you think of start to do that?
I don't know. In some ways, being honest, you're if you get a connection with somebody good, and more so back in the day when I was trying to establish Bierhaul as a place or myself as a person within the area. You connect with someone, you hit it off with them, and I was like, it'd be cool if we did this. It'd be cool if we did this, and it's. I always find it shocking that people keep saying yes. Bierhaul's a great example of a brewery that I honestly, a few people who I listen to as far as beer and their opinions on it, were like, check them out, and I was
I've been hearing more and more in the last couple.
Oh,
I've
they're
heard about
amazing.
them before, but the last 4 months, it's just everybody's talking about them.
So good, and I love them, and they're super nice people, and just the beer is insane. And this is one of our house brews, so they make it, and it's it's a batch every 2 months, probably 6 weeks or so. Cans and draft, and it sells out as quick as it comes in. It's amazing. It's our house, super juicy IPA. I mean, if you're looking for something in that category, it's as good as you can get, I think. Forest and Main make us a house lager called Hall Lager, which is great. Forest and Main are insane, and so the fact that they do that is crazy. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I really like the collab thing. It's just a good way of just building each other up, crossing over, and
the same way that breweries do it. It's kind of like a stamp of approval for both brands. We both have approved of each other.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's just fun. It's just fun to do.
Yeah.
We should talk about a collab that's coming up. Talk about a collab.
Yeah, James and I got a collab coming out with New Trail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably at the end of March or early March. I think.
Early March, yeah.
Yeah. We were pitching that idea to Mike LaRosa earlier this summer. So we're pretty stoked
That's
about
very
it.
cool.
Yeah.
So I was reading all about your background. So your business partner. Mm-hmm. He also, what's his name?
Louis Barneau.
He also owns Sterling Pig.
So he's the primary owner of Sterling Pig. He's some investors and stuff. Yeah.
But I guess the head brewer there.
Yeah.
Used to be at Rock Bottom in King of Prussia.
Yep.
And Mike, his first job, he got like interning at a brewery, was underneath of him at Rock Bottom.
Oh, really?
No way.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Mike's had a really, really cool career from like hitting some of like the best breweries around. Like he's
kind of early on, and then she got right in at Tired Hands when they were like open up the fermenteria, and then hit a home run with New Trail.
He kind of ticked a few boxes there and then moved on.
Yeah.
Really cool dude. We were lucky enough to, me and Dave actually went to Colorado to the Great American Beer Festival 2018,
19, either 18 or 19. I don't know. It was
give or take.
Yeah.
So we were there when Mike won Best Pilsner for Lazy River.
Nice.
Which was the beer that I brought here when I was
I
was a guest. Yeah.
Dave is personally keeping Lazy River in business. Which is one of the only cans I actually have in Beer and Loathing, which is the house like can Pilsner. Other than some Sterling Pig stuff and good old Yingling and PBR, just cause retro baby. As far as cans anyway, but. It's cool, yeah. So we always talked about it, and one of those funny situations where they said yes, and I'm like, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But we're going to do draft at the beer halls, and he's going to sell cans exclusively.
That's awesome.
That's going to be super fun. You know it's going to be tasty.
Yeah. West Coast Pilsner.
Everything that they do is like, clean, reliable.
And just... He's a cool dude, man. He gets it.
Yeah, I want to have him on.
He's a local guy too to like our area.
Definitely.
He grew up in Downingtown.
Yeah, his parents were in Downingtown.
Yeah, I think when there's a Brewers Pennsylvania event at the end of this February.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna try to get some of these out of town people in here.
Oh, cool.
Nice. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah. What was I going to talk about? I had something else. Oh, so the artwork in your townhouse.
Right.
So you have a lot of different themes going on all over the place. Yeah, you have the arcade things, but then also like each bar kind of like has a theme. Like there's a lot of Star Wars references.
Yeah.
Obviously, Beer and Loathing. There's Fear and Loathing.
Yeah.
But your artwork is like, it feels like you're walking into some like old school Westchester bar with like the fox hunting pictures. But then you have the paintings that have the Star Wars things built into them.
Yeah. So there's a story behind everything.
Okay.
So again, listen, these are all the same conversations about different things. We're talking about music, we're talking about beer, we're talking about art. It's just good conversations with cool people. There's a local artist named he calls himself Cassius King, and I won't tell you his name for sake of dazzlement. But again, good friend, musician too, and just really, really, really cool person. And that's what you do. You lean into your friends, right? When I was opening Bierhaul. We came upon this ginormous, ski lodge, like we said, which was funny because we started to talk about that. But we had settled on buying a place just outside of Westchester, and a truly horrible, very typical small business people lose out situation. We lost it like last minute. It was my first foray into actually completely buying something, and obviously I'd learned a lot in the years, but still, it's and it's all my eggs in the basket, and there wasn't as many eggs as there should have been. Literally lost it the day before. Just very bad day for James. Really, really bad.
That sucks.
And then this is what happens. You come upon a place like Thornton and Bierhaul is what it is, and but then you're like, what am I going to do? What design wise? What am I going to do? And then you're like, okay, who could I talk to? I was like, okay, let me give him a call. And he was like, all right, cool, man, I got you. What do you need? I was like, I honestly want to incorporate some Star Wars things into the place. You do what you love. I love Tiki. I love Star Wars. I love Street Fighter 2. It is what it is. I just think it's fun. And there's fun and nostalgia. So he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, how about some kind of sci-fi countryside? And I swear to God, 2 days later, he comes back with one of these hunting pictures with speeder bikes, and I was like, that's just insane.
Yeah, I love it.
It's unbelievable.
We talk about the breweries that stand out are the people that are not trying to chase things. It's the people that are building their kind of finding their own path. Yeah, and it's you're these things don't really go together, but by putting them together, you're creating this unique thing that people will recognize.
Which is cool, and because I love it, and I stand behind it, and it invigorates me and makes me happy and stuff. And then the people who happen upon the jobs and you know, they're like, that's cool. He's into it. I'm into it too. Why not? Like,
yeah.
It's easy to stand behind somebody who's excited about something, I guess. I hope.
Yeah.
But it's fun. So that was an element in the farmhouse. And then as soon as Bierhaul 2 came around, I had a good solid 2 months heads up on the situation before we even announced it or whatever. And I was like, you want to do let's make it an installation. That's like, he's a Westchester guy. So he did the sci-fi countryside downstairs, and he did some Wyeth Hoth stuff upstairs.
Nice.
And that's his baby, and it was really cool to watch him do it. He helped me with Beer and Loathing as well. Him and his buddy did all the retro design stuff for Beer and Loathing.
Yeah, all the pixelated stuff on the wall, like the Donkey Kong busting on the wall.
Yeah, Rampage and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really cool.
So the other artist that you have, Jimmy Scantron,
Yep.
helped you do all your designs everywhere. So also the designer for Human Robot.
Yes. Yeah. Jimmy's the man.
Is that how you got connected to him?
I think I remember me and you talked about this around the time. I remember, loving his artwork when it came out first, and we were talking. I'm sure Dave knew, and I was talking about doing Bierhaul and trying to get it off the ground. And I had the logo. I touched base with him, and I had this. This is the main logo. Yeah. We had that very early on, and that was just from basically liking the human robot stuff and reaching out that way. I feel like you helped me get in contact with.
I don't know if I did. I think I might have shared it with you because I thought he was putting out some awesome stuff too. I just think
maybe we just talked about it.
I thought his style was always really cool. I think he just has like a really solid style and
amazing,
really clean look. So
fits into everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's very important. It's very retro. Like I was doing a thing. I was like, I wanted like a Bauhaus kind of thing, and he was like BH Bauhaus. That kind of makes sense. I was like, oh shit. It's cool. It's just really clean and cool, and it's fun. He's a cool cat too.
I've never met him. That's another person. Add it to the list. We have like 30 people.
No, he's a good one to add. I've met him a couple times. I've met him at Log Jammin', which I'm super bummed I can't go to this year. I just found out I have a wedding, and I'm devastated.
June 7th.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
This is the second time I've had a wedding, and I can't make it.
I've only gone twice. Yeah. It's like always things line up for that.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's him and this guy, Keith Shore. He did McKellar. He was the art director at this meeting house. Like, two people they just do artwork for beer, but kind of standing out on their own.
Yeah,
that's fun. It's always just it's funny when people respond, and then you're like, you kind of hit it off, and I don't know, we all travel in circles. That makes sense, I find,
Yeah, I feel like some people just like they don't think that they've like some people that we have on. Like we just had Beer with Alan on. And people, this dude is the most popular person in the whole world.
Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Just emailing us directly, like, I'm in love with Alan. He's the best. I'm like, all right, well, tell him. Like, why are you telling us? But, what was I going with this? Like, people are DMing us, like, how did you get this guy on? Like, we just asked him.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, like, you can contact these people. Like, Instagram exists. You can direct message these people.
I say it all the time. It's amazing what you get when you ask for it. Like I just asked, and this is probably an announcement, but Bissell Brothers is going to make me a Bierhaul Bier. Like,
wow, very
I'm a big fan. I helped them through a friend of somebody. I was like a random connection. Said my friend works for a brewery in Portland. I'm like, oh, cool. Which one? Bissell Brothers. Like, what the fuck? And he was like, this was years ago, and he was like, yeah, they're looking for distribution in Pennsylvania, and they're looking for advice. And I talked to Noah, and I was
their lagers are based off of Victory's lagers.
Yep. It's funny though, it's wild, and again, it's no coincidence, but they're super nice, and they're always been very friendly, and they send me all the things, and we actually did the Pennsylvania launch back in the day.
Oh really? You guys did that?
Not Bierhaul before, but I organised the PA launch back in the day.
Nice.
But it's cool. So they're going to do a house. All that kind of stuff is just fun, So it's wild, and like they just shut down one of their offshoot breweries and stuff. Like it's a tough time for there's a cycle of restaurants and breweries, and it's tough. It's tough to stay relevant. It's tough to stay profitable, I guess. And the whole thing that we do it for, apparently.
Definitely. And like obviously 2020 was a wrench, but like one of those wrenches where like so many people opened, and it's just like everything is like beyond the fact that there's just a lot of beer, there's also a lot of different places also.
Yeah.
So I think some of those places are starting to fall off now, but for better or worse, but
yeah, it's I love that. I love having that conversation with a brewery. It's like, listen, I'm 40 miles away, but you know, it's good for you, and people will travel to you. They're like, really? I'm like,
definitely. And I mean, your Townhouse is like, it's downtown.
Yeah.
The farmhouse is like kind of out of the way, but people like my friends that live in Delaware come up there all the time.
Yeah.
And like people travel there. It's like, it's definitely a destination. Yeah. It feels like a farmhouse brewery almost.
Yeah. 150 parking spots always helps as well.
Wow. Yeah.
People I feel like you need more parking spots sometimes.
So I don't know where the people go.
I don't know where.
Walking out. I don't know.
Is it the same crowd that's going both places? I mean, are you getting any college?
Any college? Kids? No. I wouldn't be. It'll be interesting. Beer and Loathing will have its first college night tomorrow night, so stay tuned. But I assume they'll show up. They're in town, and I assume that they'll show up. But,
yeah.
Townhouse is very little college. Maybe they.
It's just too expensive. I mean, it's not really the vibe. Like in college, you're not going to places.
Yeah, no. There's enough around there to sustain it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's. I wouldn't say I'm anti-kids, but I'm not pro-college coming in. There's no. They have enough places.
That's definitely more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, they come in towards the end, but they have a bit of sense and a bit more money about them or whatever. But no, it's a full-on adult place. Like.
One of the things I think is the coolest part about Farmhouse is like your staff. Like your staff is really, really, really strong. Like they're industry people. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like that part to me is like my favorite part when I go in there. How do you like keep that going, and like you bring that to the other locations? Because to me like that's what really sets you apart right now is like your staff. Like when you go in there, they know how to shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Where like I go to some other places, I'm like. Just some college kid that doesn't really know anything about beer, and I think it's kind of we're in a college town, so like we run into that issue sometimes. But like your staff is strong, and like what do you think sets you apart for that? With that,
it's. I mean, I talk to them before they get hired is a big factor. I think, especially the farmers. I mean, I was boots in the ground there for a long time till it got up and moving. Just core sensibilities as far as what I was looking for, what the place needed, and I think that it's restaurants. I say this as well a lot, but restaurants get a hard rap that it's a hard business, and not that it's not. Every business is hard, but restaurants are completely ruined by restaurateurs who don't actually work in restaurants. It's like it's a bunch of people with money who just want little hobby houses and places to hang out with their friends or whatever.
Yeah, just a place to host their friends and show off.
Yeah, it's shocking, and if it works for you, that's fine. But like, it's shocking. I find the amount of people who just shouldn't be doing it, or you know what I mean, are there and don't seem to want to do it, or you know what I mean. You can't just buy the talent. You actually have to like. Bierhaul open. I have this amazing. He's the GM there. A very good friend, Billy Yoder. He was the first. It was me and him basically kicking it off, and we had a few. You know, obviously we found some core people, but I got Billy in the mix because he was a chef. So I mean, he was like, I'm done with that. I want to do front of house. I was like, all right, cool. But we had hired an actual executive chef, and it didn't work out. In classic form, he quit like 2 days before we opened. But I was like, this is what happens. If it kicks off, you hit the kitchen. I'll be at the bar. I bartended for 15 years, 20 years. And it did, and it was wildfire from day one. And I was like, okay, we're set up because you can do this, I can do this, and we'll just build a team. Then Becca rolled in the following Sunday, and Becca's been there from day one. And we met people like Christensen and Mike Good along the way. And you meet people at their doorstep first and find out what they need from life, what they want from life. And I try and, from doing it many, many years the wrong way, by all means, I'm no great savant. But as soon as I got out of the last situation that I was involved in that was mine, I'm like, this way forward, from this point forward, I'm going to be as clear as I can possibly be. This is what I want.
You also would probably attract talent, like probably the people coming to work there because you've built up this reputation.
I mean, I hope so. Some people come in, like Becca came in first because of the beerless. She was like, this beerless isn't saying I want to work here. That was our conversation. It was like, you are hired. You have arms and legs. You're in. And it turns out she was amazing. So
I went to the Townhouse, and my bartender there, I guess she had owned a brewery before.
Maura.
Yes.
Yeah. She was great. I met her at Victory.
Oh, really?
Must have been 5 years ago. The guy who owns the building actually at Townhouse, Dave. Me and him were looking at something in Kennet just because that's what, you know, I was sniffing around at the time, and he's a cool dude. He was always interested in doing more stuff. I was like, all right, come with me, let's go have a look. Met her in Victory, had the best like experience, like lunch chit chat experience about beer and whatever. I was like, that girl's so cool, and she's friends with Nick from Braylock, and she worked at Braylock for a bit as well.
Cool.
And I was like, I need a day bartender. If only I could find like a Mora type, that girl Mora. And then I was like, holy shit, that's good, And she's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was involved with Beer and Beer Brewing and moved on from that. And it's cool, and that's the thing. It's ever changing. So it's just I recognizing people in their situation, find out what they need from the scenario.
It probably helped you, like the fact that you've been able to open up 3 restaurants in 2.5 years.
Oh, it's impossible. It's not a me thing. It's like I'm just into constant ego stuff on the way up. Like
what are your days like? Do you spend like a couple of days at each place? Do you try to hit every place every day?
A couple of days at each place.
Okay.
So get up super early. My wife is a teacher, so get up at 5:30 with her. We have coffee together. I start doing my work and then drop the kids to school, do a bit more work, go to the gym a bit these days, and then hit one of the bars by 11 o'clock.
Nice.
So, a day in each guaranteed, and then now that Beer and Loathing is kind of finding its feet, I'll go back to doing like rotational nights in all of them. And
yeah.
One of the bigger reasons of doing it all as well is to be around my little family and stuff. So obviously I love the beer halls, I love the Beer and Loathing, but it's cool tonight to have some time with the friends as well.
Schedule it correctly.
It's a lot, but it's.
How is so the menu is the same at Townhouse and Farmhouse. Is it the same at Beer and Loathing?
No, so same head chef for both beer halls,
okay.
And then there's head sous chefs in both. But their menu is very comparable with those, and then their specials are different and all that kind of stuff. But Beer and Loathing is totally different, so totally different menu.
What's the? Because the other places are like kind of like upscale American food, right?
Yeah.
So what's Beer and Loathing?
It's all sandwiches and poutines.
Okay.
Poutines
so like
is fun too.
What you would actually eat at like I guess arcade, not.
Yeah, I mean there's a really good chicken cutlet sandwich. There's a really good meatball sub. There's a really good cheesesteak actually. Have you had the cheesesteak?
At Beer Hall.
Yeah,
I've had the cheesesteak at the Reuben cheesesteak at.
There's a Reuben cheesesteak on the menu.
It's pretty badass. I do like that.
It's not for everyday use. Yeah, but it's it's
one of the times mix it up.
Dave is a cheesecake fan.
I love cheesesteaks.
Yeah. So I was wondering, the one at Beer and Loathing is pretty good. There's a bechamel instead of straight cheese. It's good. But no, the food's quality. It's cool. Again, there's the opportunity to do things properly. So try and tick all the boxes. It's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
So I mean, you've expanded so quickly. Is the idea now just to kind of like get settled where you are?
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, what's next for James Mullally?
Funny you mention that. I'm going to announce no more bars 2025. No more bars.
Boo.
No.
Well, Human Robot, they just had the one bar, and then like within a year and a half, they'd opened like 3 other locations.
More, yeah.
It's tough. Opportunity knocks, and you kind of whatever. It would be if it wasn't for the core that I had in the farmhouse, I wouldn't have been able to do the Townhouse, and then just about kind of pulled off Beer and Loathing with that whole team helped me do it, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I'm not being greedy. I'm not being we're good for a while. It's fun. We just hone in what we have and enjoy it and smell the roses for a while. And
I feel like you were talking about a barcade for a few years. Is there like another? If you were to open another one in the future, another bar of any type, is there a dream type bar that you'd want to open?
I still want to do a cocktail bar. I would love to do. It's very hard in Pennsylvania. When in New York it's different. Liquor licenses are not as expensive as.
I think there's a different drinking crowd here also.
Yeah. It's hard. The cocktail bar would have to be a part of something else. It's hard to buy a $600,000 liquor license for a teeny tiny 25 seat. It's like a hobby house kind of thing. But I'd love to do a cocktail bar. I think I like that style. I mean, honestly, it would have been a tiki bar before. I don't know. There's always a few ideas. There's more names on the little notes list of things to do.
He's the king of puns.
I'm a pun.
If you ever look at, you got to look at the Beer and Loathing menu. There's just puns.
Is that all you?
Yeah.
He's
much.
very good.
Well, no, people challenge me with good puns, and they come in with stuff. I'm like, I'm hopefully a big enough man to kind of go, fuck, that's good. Okay. Yeah.
Are you doing most of the kind of creative work as far as like the naming and the like kind of the outside?
Yeah, that's all the stuff that I find hilarious that I get to do. That we're just like, it's kind of like that's what we're doing, and everyone's like, okay, cool. And I'm like,
It is funny. Like
finally,
this is what I'm getting paid for now to like make this funny pun about grilled cheeses or something.
That's basically what I do. Yeah, grilled cheeses and quarters. That's It's super fun. It's nice to have. I don't know. I do take joy in the fact when I did a lot of things for a lot of people in New York and then a little bit in PA, obviously. But I always the biggest things I learned were a lot of things not to do. So it was rare that I had a situation where I got to deal with one person. And I have a business partner, obviously, and he's amazing. He just, he lets me do my thing, and we talk whenever we need to, and we're good buddies. But it's nice to be able to kind of lead the troops, and
And he's from France, right?
He's from Burgundy, yeah. So
it's funny, like you came from Ireland, he came from France.
I know.
And somehow you guys landed in Westchester.
Well, I love this beer. I like the beer first and foremost. I helped. I don't think they'll ever forgive me for it, but I helped Levante open the stables back in the day. It was one of the projects I did. We met there, and that was,
You helped kind of put that together because stables is great.
Yeah, I did.
Your great vision.
Yes.
Indeed.
Indubitably. Next question. Yeah. No, it was fun. It was super fun. It was, I'm still good friends with Eric, and it was fun. Nice. I like projects. Projects are fun.
Yeah, you seem like a guy that can't not do something. Like you're gonna get bored easily.
Oh, it's very weird if you actually knew me. I can chill, man. I love a good couch time. It's talk to the wife.
Yeah.
No, it's very odd to spend a lot of time moving countries and trying to it almost feels like I had 100 almost record deals, and my band back in the day we had a song in the charts and we played some festivals. I opened for Coldplay and a few big kind of situations. Cool, yeah. And you hit these peaks that you're just kind of like, fuck, I'm going to spend so much time trying to match this feeling of just success or whatever the word is, just kind of, I don't know, celebratory euphoria of sorts. Yeah. I don't know. So that's what it is. It's really fun to do. We do Oktoberfests in both beer halls now. The Oktoberfest in both, specifically I was going to say the Farmhouse, but no, Town was great too. Was absolute nuts. It was you were.
I went to the Farmhouse.
You went. It was insane. I have some pictures from that, and it's just
I do appreciate that. My friends went to the Townhouse.
Yeah.
And I guess you guys didn't have my beer on tap, and you guys put it on tap to pour 6 beers for them, and then took it off tap. So, thank you.
That's pretty fun. I didn't even know that happened. That's amazing. That's good. It's cool. It's very fun to be able to, and I swear to God, and I can rest easy by saying this. It's all about the joy of the people who are there. Beer and Loathing is fun because you get to see as much as kids are out by 7. Ew. It's an adult place after, so it's 21 and up after 7. But watching dads show their kids certain games and be all kind of excited, and then I have 2 daughters, and I mean honestly they could care less about the games, which makes me sad. But we'll see that can change. But I have a niece who's insane about it. I have a nephew the same. You know what I mean? It's different. You watching the kids vibe with their parents and family and stuff. It's so fun. It's so fun watching that kind of occur.
So you've done now, beyond just the 3 places that you owned, you've really been a part of so many great openings in the last 10, 15 years. Is there something that kind of you can, at what point can you tell this is going to be success or not, or is it kind of everything's been a success? Is it before you open, or does it take a couple weeks to kind of see how things are actually operating?
I mean, it depends how you define success, I suppose. But
I guess not going out of business. But
yes, that too. I don't know. There's a sense for that before. Yeah, there's definitely a sense before, I think, anyway. But it's more to realize what it is. I definitely, as much as I'm I have my ideas, and then you have people around that you trust, and you're like, okay, I have to be open to everything. So it's not just my way or the highway, obviously. I do. It takes a while to sit in it to realize what it is, and Bierhaul, I was very sure on what the message was and what it would be, and what we could do. And there's a lot of decisions that you learn the hard way, as far as service etiquette and stuff, and especially for me, I was so dead set on having, even though it's an outdoor beer garden that can literally hold 300 people, it's absolutely insane. When you see it full, it's mind blowing how many people are there. But I hate going to a place and seeing plastic. You don't want to send the nicest beer all the way down from Portland and then drink it from a plastic cup. That drives me nuts.
It takes it away a little bit.
So I was very, very, very hell-bent on proper glassware, and that's one of the things, you know, that I'm dead set on, and that I'll pull people on constantly. And I think it makes a difference to those who are having their first Hill Farmstead beer, and they're out in the lawn in Thornton, Pennsylvania, and they're like, this is cool, you know what I mean? So things like that really matter, I think.
Have you gotten into any of the? I know a lot of the breweries now are putting like the Lucre taps and like kind of the different faucets. Have you done any of that stuff?
Yeah, I've Lucres in every place. Yeah.
And do you guys serve cask beer?
Do you know I almost did it in Townhouse. There was an engine there. It just needs some TLC, but I'll get back to it. I love VSBs.
I feel like the industry. I mean, there's obviously an obsession with carbonation right now. Like the New York Times article just came out, but there's also like an obsession with the presentation of draft beer.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely jumped up in the last couple of years. You know, the hazy IPAs, a lot of times you can just like pour them out. Sometimes they don't even have a head on them, but like people just drink them like orange juice.
Yeah.
But it's definitely changed in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think it really matters, and it's specifically with foam-oriented beers. I mean, that's huge. And I've had Lucres in Farmhouse from almost day one, basically.
Yeah.
And 4 in Townhouse, and now 4 in Beer and Loathing.
Nice.
It makes a difference. It's huge. It's interesting. It's a good talking point, and it's just beer tastes better. You know?
Yeah, it tastes better. You can take a picture of it, I guess. I mean, we talk about a lot of the social media stuff. Like, you know, a lot of the stuff is like, can you take a picture of this? I think the Beer and Loathing has a lot of that.
Yeah, Beer and Loathing's got a lot of that, which is awesome. It's I think it's gonna be a college kid's dream. Hopefully
they don't wreck the joint.
Yeah, as long as they're not breaking anything.
They're absolutely going to break it. Yeah. It wants to have fun in there, and they're respectful, and you know, I don't care. But it's fun. It's super fun. It's a good space. It's a really good space. I'm liking it. I actually got to sit down and play some games the other night. It was super fun.
What's your game?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
I like it and I respect it, and I will continue to keep it. I was never a huge pinball fan though. Pinballs are fun, but people are nuts about pinball.
People that are into them are super into
it. I was going to say, when I've gone in there, I go right to the pinball. You go to the one in the back, the far back.
Dr. Dude.
And
that one's only a quarter, so
this is why I asked you about like kind of the economics of it, because I've looked into, I don't know, there's like some stuff on the internet, and they're basically saying like, pinball machines are like, you know, that's kind of where you need to be going, like, because a lot of breweries, like when they have games, it's just only pinball machines, because it's like
they're the biggest earners.
Into it,
and people are nuts over it. And they're like $1 a play, so they make money. They're expensive to rent, like, don't get me wrong, but I'd say my go-to game is probably, I mean, right now it's always Street Fighter 2. Well, it's just a guaranteed go-to for me, but playing a lot of Simpsons. Did you ever hear Track and Field? Remember that game?
I ripped that the other day. That was cool.
It was. You know what? It was called. It's an Atari game, but Atari owned it. Whatever. It was called something else in Europe. I can't remember. It's a full-on, just like an Olympics game, and you're just banging a button.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Just banging the button.
But that's an enjoyable button to bang. That's all I can tell you. I was going to make a bang joke. But
do you have?
I'm too mature for that.
We have no maturity on this podcast. Do you have Golden Tea, or is that just kind of like?
Do you know I have Golden Tea coming, and that was one that I had to find.
It's a little bit different. That's not a normal arcade. It's like that's like almost like that's the only game in like a dive bar. But you don't always see it in arcades.
But certain ones I wanted to buy because I'm like, certain things you're just going to hang on to forever.
Yeah.
So I bought one of those.
Do you have Deer Hunter or any?
Buck Hunter.
Yeah, that's a good one. You need some race card games.
Do you know, I have a
some driving stuff.
I may break my rule as far as Street Fighter 2 and older, because I just found a double Super Mario card.
Really?
Nice.
Sit down jobby, yeah.
The Brewdad guys are doing a Mario Kart tournament.
I was just gonna say they got Mario Kart on 2 of the big screens.
Oh, really?
So you could be sitting at the bar and be ripping Mario Kart.
Yeah, they just set it up. It's like $25 entry. Winner gets like 64 people, obviously.
There you go. There you go, James.
People. And then it's like winner gets a lot of money.
There's money in a banana stand.
Yeah, there's a hot idea right there.
What's funny is, and it's like. Life is funny in general, but I remember the Farmhouse is definitely more seasoned, older, like just fun on, like industry bartenders, because they do well money wise, and it's just it's a good adult place, a little bit younger in Townhouse, again, it's just, younger crowd, and it's a town bar, I'll never forget the day I walked in. I was like, are they playing chess behind the bar? Like all the 28-year-olds are playing chess. I'm like, what the fuck? Never thought I'd have to yell at someone for playing chess behind the bar. And I didn't. I had someone else yell. But now in Beer and Loathing, the bartenders are like playing Mario. And like, oh fuck, come on. I was like, please serve people and just stop playing Mario Kart. That's all I ask. I get it.
There's too many things to distract them.
So but there was one night where it was a little bit quieter. One of the first quiet nights where it was like just 100 people instead of 300 people. And there was like one of the bartenders was Christensen, who helped with the tiki.
Yeah.
He was like, nah, I'm gonna crush this dude. Nah, so it was a full on thing where he was like winner stays on, and he was just crushing customers and getting pissed off. It was too much fun to watch, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Do you have, so you talked about like kind of like you're in Ireland, it's like the Irish pub, like you try to like kind of bring that here. Do you have kind of regulars where you've like kind of cultivated this where it's the same kind of people coming in every night? Yeah,
it's fun, and the high irony of opening extra things is that I don't get to hang out in all the places all the time. Which you know what I mean? That's the reason why they existed, and the reason why I like it is the community fun aspect. But tons of regulars in both, which is super cool. Especially in Westchester, I bump into them all the time. Obviously, you know. It's cool. A lot of very very nice supportive regulars and big beer fans. Lots of big beer fans.
Yeah, as being somebody that goes to all three of them. Like I think they all have their own identity almost. Where like going to Farmhouse, like you have the outdoor like cozy feel, or I could go a mile up the road and hit just the regular beer hall just because they got an awesome draft list. Or if I want to get wild and play some games, I could go over to Beer and Loathing.
But they all kind of tie into each other. Like you can tell that it's all the same brand.
Well, they all got a badass beer list. That's
a good connecting force. I feel, you know. So
good back.
That's the fun part. That is the fun part, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not as if you taste every single beer, but you just again, it's all trust. You know, I trust certain breweries, and it is super fun when you're ordering, as you know, when I'm about to crush your lovely hoppy pills that you're making, but. It's very fun to order from a brewery, and you don't just go for the hot IPA. I was like, give me the Dunkel, you know, give me a Kolsch, and they're like, what the? You know what I mean? I'll crush 2 kegs of a Kolsch from Brew Gentleman before I.
But I think you're able to do that because you've cultivated it from the beginning, so people are going in expecting kind of different things. Yeah.
There are genuinely customers who like got them off of like Miller Lite or got them away from IPAs, and now they're just destroying lagers. It's fun. You're like, it's just a bit more sustainable. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to wring more money out of you, but like it's easier drinking. Yeah, and like what you're saying, like the funnest part is like buying the beer. Like that, I think that's why a lot of people are into craft beer. Like they like the chase, the hunt. Like they like kind of trying these certain things, and you guys get to do that on a mega scale every single week. It is fun, and it's become easier because people have, like you say, kind of turned away from the quality beer, the expensive beer. It's fun dealing with the reps that I really like, specific distros, and just kind of like they send me the list of, and I'm like, that's cool. Or when I read, like it's funny, and I say it to every rep that I ever deal with, and most of them don't believe me. It was like, send me everything. I read everything. I want to read everything, and then they don't send me everything, and I don't buy it. But I will go through even the bigger distributors and the biggest reps that I trust. I'll still go through all of their inventories because I make them send their entire inventories. And read all of the things that they have and find nuggets galore, and I'd be like, I'll take 2 of those, please. Yeah, people just look at like the first 2 lines, don't read through it. And it's not just sours and stouts and all the stuff that kind of sits. It's just like legit stuff, and or you read up, or seasonality is a factor as far as certain styles, and I don't know. Mostly it's just fun. Keeping all the beer list balance as well. Obviously, I'm buying for 3 places, so. I have a nice little system together to know what I have and what I need and so on. And is it the same beer list everywhere, or everywhere is slightly different? They're all completely different, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even both beer halls have their, like a few stable beers. No, they're all, even if I'm buying, like Hill Farmstead is a good example. If they drop 20 kegs, I'll get 20 kegs, and I'll just split them up between the 2 places. And 20 kegs from Hill Farmstead? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. It's very cool. It's crazy that they're like, you beg for, I remember begging for like a $6 lunch, and now I crush 4 kegs of lunch in a week, and they're like, thank you so much. I'm like, you owe me big time. You are welcome. Yeah, I think you had dinner on a couple. You get dinner every time, Yeah, that was very cool. Dinner's way up there for me. Yeah. Definitely. I like that beer.
I think we've gone well over time limit, but what do you have going on soon? Do you have any big events? I mean, like you guys are a machine week in, week out, but are there things to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously follow Bierhaul Townhouse, Bierhual Farmhouse on Instagram. Beer and Loathing is almost a month old, believe it or not. I just follow the Instagrams for all the updates. A lot of cool events coming in the farmhouse in the summer. Some very beer-oriented events. Some bigger fun things, you know. Townhouse has DJs or live music every Friday and Saturday night. Now we're doing a late menu till 1 a.m. every Friday and Saturday as well, which is rare for Westchester. Beer and Loathing has karaoke every Friday and Saturday and has different things other nights of the week. And there's something every night in all the places. I'm a big fan of keeping it interesting for people, whether it's we do IPA Day, which is $5 for everything on tap.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. I did $5.
Doesn't matter what it is.
That's crazy.
I did $5 trilliums, which is basically cost price.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, and I was like, it's the end of a six still. Somebody's going to be delighted. Let's just, you know. But it should be the way it is. And that is Wednesdays in. I always mix them up. Wednesdays in Thornton, Wednesdays in the farmhouse, and Thursdays in Westchester. Which is fun, and we do $10 pizzas those days as well, flatbreads and pizzas. There's always something going on. It's super fun. The good beer will never stop flowing. The good beer is the thing that will just every day. I used to put a big
Your draft
focus
list blows
on
me away every single time. Like, how are you getting these beers? I mean, I guess it's just you asking people, but it's very cool.
It's cool. It's fun. I mean, there used to be a bigger focus on beer events, I feel, and now it's just like, I mean, every day is a beer event. It's kind of it's a very blessed way to be. It's super fun, but it's cool. Listen, it wouldn't be possible without all the staff and all the support of the people, and it's very humbling sometimes. We just had a staff party actually last week for Bierhaul. Both Bierhaul staff party, and in Beer and Loathing, obviously. So that just makes sense. But it's just shocking the amount of people involved. It's very fun. It's I don't know how it happened, but here we are. That's
nice.
good.
Well, congrats. I'm looking forward to anything that you're putting out in the future. You crush it.
No more bars.
No more bars.
No more bars 2025. We'll see you in 2026.
26.
We'll
cool.
see.
Awesome. And thank you for coming on. Thank you, Dave, for coming on. Follow
Thank you.
Beer Mill
WC. And that's it.
Cool. And then you can follow us at Brewdat or at the Brewdat Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Cool.